The report I'll be summarising today is titled, quote, A Global Digital Compact, an open, free and secure digital future for all. It was published by the United Nations, or UN, in May this year after almost 4 years of work. What's noteworthy is that it was apparently put together by UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres. In the first few sentences, he reveals that the proposals in this report are expected to be approved and adopted by global governments at the Summit of the Future in September 2024. Mark your calendars. Now, the first part of the report is about what's required for global digital cooperation. Antonio, or whoever wrote this, explains that it requires having a set of shared goals. Lo and behold, the SDGs are literally highlighted in blue. Antonio then stresses that we must fully digitize the remaining 2.7 billion people ASAP. Incredibly, he seems to acknowledge that not everyone wants to be a part of this system. He says that a, quote, demand pull is also needed and that this is where the public sector can play a role. He explains that they can do this by making things like digital ID mandatory to access public health services. He then pivots to a topic that he's been passionate about on Twitter lately, and that is online safety, aka censorship. He says that, quote, open, safe and secure use of the internet is slipping away from us, potentially permanently. Obviously, he blames this on disinformation, hate speech and the like. He says that governments need to get more involved, both online and in the real world, and that they should crack down on hate speech. He reveals that the UN has already been working with AI experts to assess how it can be controlled and how to make sure that it can always be shut down. And last but not least, Antonio says that the, quote, arc of innovation needs to be bent towards solving societal problems and global challenges. Translation, AI needs to be used to manage the peasants. Now, the second part of the report is about that global digital compact Antonio is so obsessed with. He starts by saying that digitization should be addressed in a manner similar to the climate crisis. This is quite concerning as it implies lots of regulation, intervention and restriction of the internet. Antonio then lists the objectives of the Global Digital Compact and the actions that stakeholders should take to ensure these objectives are met. The first objective is to plug everyone into the matrix, and Antonio provides a long list of actions, including subsidies and $100 billion of funding to this end. This ties into the second objective, and that's to invest heavily in digitization and to, quote, develop environmental sustainability by design and globally harmonized digital sustainability standards and safeguards to protect the planet. A word salad that sounds like total control of digital technologies. The actions Antonio recommends include money, and more money. They also include sharing data so that the UN can finally start tracking how far along countries are in meeting the SDGs. For reference, there's only 7 years left. It's safe to say that it's not looking good. Now, the third objective is to end the, quote, gender digital divide and to ensure that labour rights are adhered to online. Like all fuzzy-sounding objectives, the actions required to meet them include some seriously dystopian stuff, including the creation of a dedicated UN government body in every country. Watch out for those. The fourth objective is to ensure the internet remains open, secure, and shared. The actions Antonio prescribed include avoiding internet shutdowns to, say, manage dissent or opposition. What's funny is that Antonio suggests that governments use, quote, targeted measures instead. This relates to the fifth objective, which is to address disinformation, hate speech, and the like, to develop, quote, trust labels and certification schemes, and to ensure that gender is included as a part of every digital policy to ensure absolute equality. Antonio proposes a long list of actions here, the most important of which is to establish a global code of conduct to ensure that the internet is policed properly in every corner of the planet. The sixth objective is to ensure adequate data governance, i.e. control. Actions include ensuring that all data is interoperable, because nothing says privacy like sharing your most sensitive data with every corporation, government, and organization on the face of the earth. The seventh objective is to ensure adequate control of AI. Actions include, quote, urgently launching a global body that will regulate all of the AI in existence and any new AI that emerges. He then provides a long list of UN entities that will assist with implementation. Oddly enough, Antonio doesn't believe that all of these existing UN entities are enough. He reveals that he wants to establish an annual digital cooperation forum after all the world's governments agree to the Global Digital Compact at the Summit of the Future in September 2024. A partial timeline can be seen here. Note that it doesn't end with that event in 2024. It ends instead with the World Summit on the Information Society Review in 2025.